Yeah, yeah, I'm here.
So this topic of uh, we were having this discussion, just a very impromptu discussion on cause and effect in one of our calls with the Connecticut Sangha, and it was a very interesting call. Just understanding how uh, the nature of the material world is cause and effect. You have to do something to get something. Unless you do something, you don't get something. And so the science in the material world is fully based on this principle of cause and effect, constantly studying the causes and its effects. Radhapriti, you're familiar with this, right? Just
Yeah, I'm all about cause and effect. I love
yes.
some good cause and effect.
So tell us, what is your idea of this cause and effect? Because we're going to go beyond the cause and effect.
Oh, cause and effect is nice because it makes you feel like you have some kind of control over the outcome. So if you can understand the relationship between cause and effect, then you can manipulate the causes to get the desired effect, right? So in the material world, like, and if you're like in a field that that you happen to, have some like knowledge of or skill in, then it can be really fun. But then it can also be really devastating. So it's like you got both going on there. This actually reminds me, I was listening. Can I tell you a story? Is that okay?
Yes, yes, we love stories.
Okay. So I'm doing this positive intelligence training. My friend talked me into doing it. And so I'm listening to this audiobook. And this guy is like supposed to be like New York sellers, best are on the like bestseller list. He's worked with all kinds of like Fortune 500 companies. He's really all about his methods for positive intelligence. Well, he's telling a story about how he plays this game with his kid where he like tickles this kid and he asks his kid questions and he doesn't stop tickling him until the kid gives him the answer that he wants. So he'll start tickling him and he'll say like, why do I love you? Do I love you because you're handsome? And his kid will be like, no, daddy, you don't love me because I'm handsome. And then he'll be like, do I love you because you're smart? He's like, no, daddy, you don't love me because I'm smart. Anyway, he goes through like a bunch of things. And then he says, why do I love you? And he says, because I'm me. And it's like this really cute story. But as I'm listening to it, I'm thinking like, what does that actually mean if you have no spiritual background? Like, to me, when I was growing up, that means all of the things that I did and all the things that I was good at. It doesn't like, and then, he goes on to explain like your value is from your essence. And all these like self-help people love saying that. But I want to ask them, like, what do you think that actually means? Because I don't understand what it would mean without spiritual basis. Do you have any idea what it would mean without spiritual basis? Like if I
Yeah.
was this kid, I'd be like, Dad, what the heck are you talking about?
Yes, it's a very interesting phenomenon. I've been thinking about it quite a bit actually, because everything in this world, people feel very strongly. If you look at motivational speakers, people like to randomly send me videos because they're waiting to be motivated. They're sitting on the couch and watching motivational videos, one after another, trying to motivate themselves to get off the couch. And so sometimes I get videos being sent to me about this, and they're like, just go ahead and do whatever you want, and just go and do something and you'll get a result. You just have to go out there and just go get it. It's all just waiting for you. I find it quite interesting. And that made me dive into this spiritual dimension that my mind tends to take me whenever I don't have a substantive answer to just random, things that people say, that I wonder where that comes from. Like the grapevine thing. Like I wonder where that comes from. So then I dive into this concept of cause and effect, and I start to unravel in my mind and then tap into the spiritual vast ocean of knowledge that provides us that everything in this material world is about cause and effect. And based on how things have been in the past, we have watched certain patterns, and then we can tell how it's going to be. So science is studying how certain things work a certain way, so they can predict how it's going to be. And I was thinking, okay, if someone works hard, say someone goes to school, they automatically get a good job. That's cause and effect. But is that always true? No, it doesn't always work. But in principle, generally, mature world, if you work hard, the idea is that you'll get something out of it. And just even like in all religions, we know that if you are a good guy, you will go to the heavens. And if you're not a good guy, you will go to hell. So there has to be something that you do to be a good guy so you can go higher. And if you are not a good guy and you do something that's bad, then you go lower to the hellish planets. So this whole principle of cause and effect made me think of this idea how in the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavat Puran, one of the wisdom texts, we study that the material world is on this side of the causal ocean. And Vishnu is laying on this causal ocean. And on this side is the material world. And on the other side of the causal ocean is the spiritual world. So these dimensions, the spiritual worlds, are divided by this river called the causal ocean. So everything in this side is cause and effect. And anything on the other side, there's no cause and effect. And that brings me to this topic of how bhakti is causeless. This unconditional, pure, eternal spiritual love, this emotion of bhakti, is causeless. It does not have any cause because it's not from the material world, it's from the spiritual realm. This spiritual emotion is coming from the spiritual world. And this emotion is something that is accessible because we are spiritual beings, we have access to that spiritual emotion. But then, if there is no cause and effect, so this bhakti is a pathless path. There's no way to get bhakti in this world because you have to do something to get something. And it's not from this world, so it must be puzzling paradox. So it must be something from the other world. And so how do we access it? How can we access something that doesn't have a path? So this is what this today's topic is all about, how bhakti is causeless. What do you think about that, Radha?
I'm just like trying to play through like what the people are doing right now in the spiritual world without a relationship of cause and effect. Like, like
they're having a great time.
how do they even like interact? Because when you even think about like our interactions with people, there's some kind of like expectation on the other side. You know, there's some like everything we do throughout the day, we do because we know what the effect will be. We brush our teeth. Okay, we know we'll have to teeth. But like, how do you even live without that?
Yes. And let me share this thought with you. Now that you just sparked another thought in me, is, you know, this material world is part of the spiritual world. It's just a small part of this. It's like a little mustard seed. Spiritual world is infinite, is unlimited. And this material world is just like a little prison house. Like we have in Atlanta, we have a state penitentiary. State of Georgia is big. It's massive. It takes 4 hours from one side to the other side of the state. 5 hours driving. It's a big state. Millions of people. And there is 20 acres of land, and within there they have this place called the state penitentiary, where people who are not nice, people who have done bad deeds, they end up in that place. So this whole cosmic creation is a spiritual creation, because everything God does is spiritual. Everything coming from the divine is divine. But within that divine, there is this small little place. And that little place is the material world, where there is cause and effect. And as soon as you get out of that material world, you get access to causeless experience of this spiritual bhakti. So the question is, where do we get bhakti from? Where do we get this love from? What do you think about that, Radha? Where do you get it? What is your secret?
I don't know. It's just mercy, right? It's just given to us. But there is something, right? Like the more that we endeavor, the more that it's reciprocated. So that is a thing, right?
Yes. Yes. By who? Doing what?
By Krishna, by the divine.
Yes, this is the interesting part that I was thinking, how we have this unique principle that governs this world, is this two laws that govern this world. The divine law, and there's the material law, right? There's two forces in this world. You can call it the divine forces and not so divine forces. You know, people always tell me, the devil in you is talking to you right now. Have you ever heard that expression?
No, it's
When
dark. No
some,
one's ever told me that, Veda.
it's funny, because I was in little I was in little 5 points, and one guy starts to scream at another person because they were having some disagreement. And the guy just goes, "Hey man, that's the devil talking in you." And I was thinking, wow, how cool is that? He's able to find the devil in this person. And he was a very nice Christian man. And he says, "Man, why don't you let the divine, why don't you let God talk with you, man? Why don't you talk to God? Why are you speaking this 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 language of evil?" And I was thinking, very interesting. So this concept is there in human beings, this dual nature. We have divine nature and we have not so divine nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, they use demoniac nature. That means, you know, where we are always seeking something that is evil. I know the native Indians, they give the metaphor of two barking dogs.
Yeah, I've heard
Two
that.
dogs. I have heard it from Romapad Swami. He uses it. I don't know where he got it from. I remember he used that term one time when he was speaking here. I never heard it, because native Indians, they also had this idea of dual nature, that there is this dog that just screams and shouts and howls, and the dog that barks the loudest gets their attention, like the wheel that screeches the loudest gets your attention. And then there is the soul, or the situated in the heart, like, what about me? And because the soul by nature is soft and kind, does not shout and scream, does not get the attention. You know, like, I've been told that there's always this little voice in the back of your head that's telling you, hey, don't do it. You're about to do something bad, and this little voice tells you, come on, man, you can do better. And we don't always listen to that little voice. And so this is what I understand from understanding these two laws that govern our existence, and these two forces. And so,
Isn't that though, Veda, a cause and effect? Like the more that we endeavor, the more mercy that we get. Is that not cause and effect?
but it is not the endeavor that's causing you to get the mercy.
I guess it feels like it.
Yeah, it feels like it is bhakti that gives you bhakti. It is love that gives you love.
And that's not cause and effect. I guess
Absolutely not.
I have to
Cause and
think about
effect
that a
is
little bit.
totally material. And that's why in material world, the love is cause and effect. I love you, and you better do this and this and this for me.
Okay, so this is the difference between like a dry endeavor, like I'm gonna memorize slokas so that I can look smart, versus like I'm really gonna study this stuff and pray to Krishna that I understand it. Something with like love versus just like relying on your own intellect and effort.
Let me tell you the story then. This might answer your question. The story of Ajamil. Ajamil was this great pious person, incredibly pious person. And then the lower nature of Ajamil takes over, and he goes out and he finds the most beautiful prostitute, and he starts to be with her, and he starts to completely get infatuated with her beauty and her personality, that he's just completely in this deep sense of material sense gratification in his relationship with her. So much so, even though he was such a pious person, he was dragged down by his lower nature. And as the nature goes, as you indulge in the lower natures of yourself, you're going to expedite this material journey, that life that you have. And he starts to get old. He has a child with this prostitute, and he names the child Narayana. And he is dying in his old age. He's dying, and the Yamadutas, the messengers of death, with their ferocious outlook, they come to get his soul. They come to get him and drag him out of the body. Just by the sight of this Yamadutas, he starts to scream for his son, Narayana, Narayana, because that is his object of his love. And he calls for his son Narayana, and guess who shows up? The messengers of Vishnu, of the divine, shows up and say, hey, you guys, messengers of death, step aside. This is our guy. This is not your guy. This is our guy. And then they have a beautiful dialogue. There was no cause and effect. He called for his son, but he was gifted the highest possible spiritual destination, which is Vaikuntha, a place of no misery, the spiritual world. So there was no cause and effect. It was the causeless Bhakti, personification of Bhakti, sends the messengers to come and pick this guy up and take him back to the realm of eternality. So this is what the wisdom text Srimad Bhagavatam is teaching us, that bhakti is no causeless. You don't need a reason to do bhakti. It's not because if you do certain thing, you're going to get something. It's not that if you do this, you get that. You can do this all you want. So the whole point of bhakti is to just do it. Don't try to find a reason to do it. Just do it. I like the Nike logo. Just do it, you know? And that's what bhakti is. When you just do it, like sadhana. Who likes to do sadhana? Keshavi loves to do sadhana. I don't love to do sadhana. It's been 41 years, and I still force myself to do sadhana every single day. Because my mind is like, Veda, come on. You got better things to do. You can do this, you can do that. Why do sadhana? This forceful act that I do every single day, that I force myself to discipline myself to do my sadhana every day, It's not something that I enjoy. But because I do this sadhana without any expectations, someone is asking some question.
I said, thank you for saying that.
Oh, that I don't like to do my sadhana. There are so many things we don't like to do, but we do it. And sadhana is one of those things that I don't like to do it. I do it because I need it. My soul needs it. I've done enough things for the body. So this whole point of bhakti being causeless, it explains in the Nectar of Devotion, in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that there's no reason that someone gets this divine mercy. It doesn't make any logical sense in the material, because the material sense is going to be cause and effect. Now, sometimes when people think that bhakti is just like that, it just happens because it's causeless, I just won't do anything. I'll just wait for God to shower his mercy upon me. So that's why the sages actually give a path to the pathless path. And that is why there is a beautiful story I'll share with you. Please cut me off anytime you want to share anything. There's a beautiful story I'll tell you. It's about a sage named Narada Muni. We may have heard of his name sometimes. He is an interplanetary teleporting sage. He has no requirement of any visas to any other planets in the world. He can just go wherever he wants. He's one of the most coolest sages that I used to love, because I always wanted to do that, teleport myself to different places and different planets and different dimensions. I used to love this guy. And he always shows up at really weird places, and he just like completely changes the whole environment. So this Narada Muni, he happens to go to the kingdom of Bali Maharaj. And Bali Maharaj, he is the son of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj is the 5-year-old saint, and his son is Bali, and he got his own planet in the lower planets of the earthly planet. So Narada Muni went down to the lower planets to meet this Bali Maharaj, this great king who's governing one of the lower planets. And Bali approaches him with such respect, and he says, my dear sage, please help me. I need some help. He says, yes, please tell me, how can I help you? He said, I have a brother, but my brother he's just so caught up in horrible activities. He's just always drunk, and he's always thinking how to exploit others, and his consciousness is so bad, he's so demoniac in his mentality, that I really need someone to help him. And Narada says, sure, I would be happy to, being a sage, I'm happy to try and see how I can help. So he introduces Narada to his brother. And Narada starts to speak to him. Hey, this excessive drinking of this alcohol in your system is going to cause, disillusion of memory. And he starts speaking to to his brother, and the brother wasn't having it. And at one point, he starts to continue to try and have a conversation and give him more information and try and help him. And this brother of Bali Maharaj lashes at him and starts chasing him. Leave me the hell alone. Just get away from me. And Narada Muni, because, he's a sage, he's fast. So he starts floating around, and this Bali Maharaj's brother is chasing him. And Narada keeps talking to him as he's running away from him. It's an interesting thing. Imagine like you're being chased and you're talking to them like, you can't catch me, you can't catch me. And sometimes kids do that, and then they run. So Narada is doing this thing with Bali Maharaj's brother. And Narada tells him, says, you know what? When you die and the messengers of death come and grab you by your throat and take you to the hellish planets, you should ask him, what is the power of Sadhu Sangha? Like the Sangha that we're having. What is the power of Sadhu Sangha, of associating with a sage? Narada left. This brother of Bali Maharaj gets old. Fast forwarding the story, he dies. He gets captured and picked up by the messengers of Yamaraj, the god of death, and he's taken to the hellish planets. And in the hellish planets, there is a great secretary that god of death has. His name is Chitragupta. Chitragupta, Chitra means picture, Gupta means discreet. That means everything you do is being captured on camera. It's a surveillance camera. It's universal surveillance camera. No action goes unrecognized by this Chitragupta. So he reads out all the things that is Bali Maharaj's brother has done and tells him, okay, time's up. Let's put you in, lock you in. Let's put you through your, punishment now. He says, but hold on one second. I have a question. And the question is, what is the power of meeting a saintly person, having a good Sangha, Sat Sangha? What is the power of it? And Yamaraj, the god of death, he said, oh, I don't know. He says, well, before you punish me, you have to answer this question, because that's how the system is in the hellish planets. You get to ask your questions and you get replies, and just like the court system in the world, it's how it's handled in the hellish planets as well. So Yamaraj said, well, I don't know the answer. He says, well, so you have to give me the answer. Otherwise you can't throw me in the dungeons, So Yamaraj said, okay, let's go. So Yamaraj takes this man and he goes, let's go to the planet of Brahma. Brahma is the creator. He has 4 heads. He's the creator of this universe. Let's go to the creator. So they go to Brahma. He says, Brahma, can you please tell us what is the power of associating with a saint, with a saintly personality? And Brahma says, I don't really know. What is the power of it? But I know someone that might know it. And then said, so they both, Brahma, Shiva, and Yamaraj, and this man, they all go to Brahma, Yamaraj, and this man, they go to the residence of Shiva in Kailash. And they ask Shiva, can you please tell us what is the power of associating with a saintly person? And Shiva says, come on, do you guys see any saint around here? I'm surrounded by ghosts and hobgoblins and all kinds of other species. How am I supposed to know this answer? So then Shiva said, why don't we all go to Vishnu? Let's find out. So Brahma, Shiva, Yamaraj, god of death, and this person, brother of Bali Maharaj, they all go to Vishnu, who's laying on the causal ocean. And when he goes there, they ask Vishnu, hey Vishnu, can you please tell us what is the power of associating with a saintly person? And Vishnu says, the power of associating with a saintly person is that moments association. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastre Koi. It's a very beautiful poetic, I'll explain it in a nutshell. Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hoy. Very, very poetically, this wisdom text explains that a moment of association, a moment of Sangha, a good Sangha, Sat Sangha, spiritual association, divine association, one is immediately qualified to attain the highest possible spiritual realm. After Vishnu explains that to all of them, and he says, now, Brahma, you can go home. Shiva, you can go home. And you are going to stay here in the planet of Vaikuntha, the spiritual planet. So this is what is being explained as the key to having that bhakti, that causeless mercy that we're talking about, that causeless, unconditional spiritual love. That is experienced by this association. And what does that association even mean? So that association means that speck of faith that an enlightened person, that a spiritual person can instill in the heart of the conditioned soul. And that faith is something that is so divine. Of course, there's very deep discussion about this two kinds of faith. And it gets very deep in this faith, and how this faith is actually the mother of existence. Because this faith is what creates our existence in this world. Every reality that we have in our life right this minute is a creation of our faith. And what a saintly person gives is this second kind of faith, the faith from within. We have faith from outside that we have created our reality. And there is faith from inside that comes out. There's two kinds of faith. And that is the faith that a spiritual association can give you, that satsang, that divine association can give you, that enables you to have, that is that causeless mercy, that is that pure bhakti that is dormant in our hearts. It's like that magical wand that they have. In one of our morning prayers that Balaram knows very well, we study poetry every single morning. 4:30 a.m., there's a poetry recital. Beautiful prayers of great gratitude, poetry of gratitude. And one of those prayers says, Chakhudan dilo jai, janme janme prabhu se. Very poetically. I'm just reciting this not to show off my yoga knowledge or anything, but because it sounds very sweet. Spiritual poetry is very sweet. It says, a spiritual master or a teacher, he opens the eyes of the heart from where we can look at the world and everything seems perfect. And that is what this process of bhakti that we're talking about. What does it mean, causeless? There's no reason. What has Radhapriti done? What have you done in your life to get what you want, Radhapriti, that you have access to bhakti? What have you done?
Oh, I was going to go material. I was going to say so many things, Veda. Let me tell you all the things I've done. No, yeah, I think just surrender to the sastra, maybe. I don't know.
Just because you surrender to the Shastra, you should have access to bhakti? Like, seriously?
I don't know. Okay, after this though, I do kind of have some thoughts about what you said. Like in a nutshell, what you're saying is the only way to get bhakti, which is like unconditional love, is by giving bhakti, which is like unconditional love.
Go for it.
These tools, this path that we are given, it's not the actual path It's not actually like, okay, I'm going to read these slokas that is going to give that to me. But the point is that the path has been like customly chose in such an intelligent way that it should invoke this love within us if we're doing it right and we're doing it sincerely and in the right mood and in the right association. And part of the path is not just these practices we do, the chanting, the reading, the hearing, but it's the association of people that already have this, because they've spent so much time on the path, that they've invoked so much of this love, that really that's like the shortcut to getting it, is by just associating with them, and then it transfers from one heart to another.
Very good. There is this word in Patanjali Yoga Sutras. You will see Chetasa Samprasadata. Chetasa Samprasadata, that word you will see in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, which explains that you will get clarity in your life. This faith that we're talking about, it gives you clarity that you're able to see that this bhakti is truly causeless divine grace. That is, you cannot do anything materially in this world to have access to it. There's nothing material you can do to have access to this bhakti. This bhakti is in the heart and needs a simple touch of a person that can show you and light that spark. In the Brahma Samhita, there is a beautiful text where Brahma the creator is reciting this. He says, Deepa chireva hijasantanu mabhupetya, Deepa yate vivrita hetu samana dharma. He said, a candle. There's many candles, but there is one person that comes in. There's one original candle that lights the candles, all the other candles. So it explains that a saintly person who carries the candle in their heart, that beautiful divine light in their heart, the light of bhakti. Someone who has that light can light the hearts of others. That is what this Sangha means. That is what causeless means. For no reason. For no reason. You have to do nothing. Yet, the sages are recommending that this path of bhakti is such that we must always cultivate the highest aspect of ourself. The highest aspect of ourself. And this is why we have the sadhana bhakti, that daily personal discipline, so that we are trying to just access our higher self. And just that effort alone creates and invokes this divine mercy upon ourselves. But it is not that effort that gives you that mercy. It is not that effort just because you do this, you're going to get that. No, we do this effort and thereby we get this clarity. Chetasa samprasadata. And once that clarity is there, then you become this beautiful recipient of divine grace. And that is where causeless bhakti comes from. That spiritual, transcendental emotion of spiritual love is truly experienced when we have that association. I think
It's
I've
trippy.
gone.
It's so trippy. It's trippy. I think I've spent too much time in the material world. It's like hard to really, I like want to switch lives of just like living as a monk forever and contemplating these things I've been contemplating the material laws forever. I want to switch.
You know, it's funny because in Bhagavad Gita, one of the texts, it says, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. Beautiful verse that explains how in the wisdom text it explains that millions and millions of people try to understand this principle of how to access this bhakti in the heart. And out of all these millions of people attempting, someone may get a little close to it. And someone that gets for the people that get close to it, and one may actually understand it fully. And even the one who understands it will not fully understand it unless he has that divine grace. So this bhakti is something that we just have to do it. Don't think that by doing this practice, you're going to get that. All we have to do every single day is just do it. Wake up in the morning, do our sadhana. That prescription that is given to us by our spiritual doctors, who are heart doctors. They give us a little prescription. Wake up in the morning, do your sadhana. Thereby, having a little faith in the teachings of the teacher, because they have given a prescription, then what happens? Then the clarity happens, and then everything opens up. What do you think about that, Radha?
It's confusing, but I'm up for it. I mean, I'll just do it. I don't really understand it, so I think I'll just do it. That's what I think. And I feel some effect, so that's my proof. I don't really understand the interworkings. It sounds very complex and not anything I can relate to, but.
And that's the cool part. You don't even have to understand it. You just have to do it. And the minute you try to understand it, gone. Because it is not a process of intelligence. It's not the journey of intelligence. It's not the journey of the mind. It's actually the journey of the heart that cannot be fathomed by the intelligence or understood by the mind. Sometimes I see why people love each other. I don't understand. It makes no sense. Like, it makes no sense. I remember there was a celebrity that came to Little 5 Points one time, and I was at the Govindas there. And he wasn't a very handsome looking person. He was like, and he was just surrounded by the most gorgeous looking females all around.
Okay, well, men don't really have to be handsome.
So I was wondering, what is going on here? From the looking at the world through the eyes, I was like, it doesn't make sense. So this bhakti does not make sense to the intelligence or to the mind. Bhakti only makes sense to the heart. And therefore, the prescription is just do it. Like, don't try to understand, because sages
I buy it because I felt it. I buy it because I felt it. That's the only reason. Otherwise, not being able to understand it is.
But how did you feel it? You have to do it.
By doing a path, and by the association is huge. There is nothing. Even if you're just doing something stupid like cooking with a saintly person or like whatever it is, it's like you feel it. Yeah, which actually, Veda, this is a great time to plug our retreat we're doing in New Vrindavan. If you want to come hang out with a saintly person, being Veda, and tolerate me, we're doing a retreat in New Vrindavan in October. And I think it's in the newsletter if you get it, October 11th through the 13th. So click on the link in the newsletter that Keshavi sends out. And sign up because it's going to fill up. And we're excited about it. And you'll get bhakti straight from the master here.
Your money back guaranteed.
It's cheap. It's super cheap. It's like we're just covering expenses, so there should be no excuse.
Well, thank you Radha Preeti for having this debate with me, and all of you for joining us. Keshavi, what would you have to share? And Nitai?
I just wanted to make a plug for our July Connecticut retreat again. I know many are signed up, but registration is closing not this week, but next week. So sign up soon. Oh, thank you, Nitai, putting the link in the chat of all of the retreats and offerings.
Thank you, Keshavi. Nitai, what else? What do you have for us?
Yeah, and if you'd like to continue to associate online, you can follow us on, I'm just copying and pasting the links on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. There is uploads of different classes. There is podcasts. There is also snippets from Veda's retreats that keep getting uploaded, and some quotes that Veda shares as well. So yeah, please do follow through, so that you can get some nectar through the weekdays after this weekend Heartspace. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Any questions? Anyone has anything they would like to share? We have 1 more minute. Or any doubts? Anything that didn't make sense? Everyone's happy. Wow. Any concluding thoughts, Radhapriti? Balaram, you have any concluding thoughts? Balaram gave a fantastic class yesterday. We went to did a program at this person's home in north of Atlanta. And maybe there were like 30, 40 people that came in, and I got to see Balaram in action.
Just talked about the Civil War. It always gets them going.
Any
Civil War of our hearts. Civil War of our hearts and our minds.
People love wars. Okay. Anything else you want to share, Balaram?
I wanted to ask Nitai, what's the difference between the Instagram and the YouTube and the Facebook and all the links? Is one better than the other?
Like Instagram and Facebook are pretty much the same, but YouTube has a lot of long form content. Like if you want to listen for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour of Heartspace related content, then YouTube is where you should be. Instagram just has one quick bites. YouTube will also have kirtans and meditations. Like there is a sleep meditation by Veda.
There's a sleep meditation?
Yeah.
Has anyone tried it?
Are you asking me?
Has anyone tried it? I'm curious. But I'm not going to say it.
No one has problems sleeping, I guess.
I think a lot of people have listened to it.
Lisa says it's good. Okay. I'll check.
Okay. So
I can just say quickly, if there's time, that I've enjoyed both of the sleep meditations. They're very effective, and I've shared them with friends.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. Lisa is an amazing soul. She has an incredible community all around the world. Thank you, Lisa. So, beautiful souls, thank you for tolerating my my rant today. I've been meditating on this since last Wednesday, because we just kept talking about cause and effect, and I'm thinking, how is my bhakti affecting and fit into this whole cause and effect? Come to understand, it doesn't affect. It's something else that is beyond this material dimension. So this bhakti, the spiritual emotion, is definitely an emotion of transcendence that has been accessible to us by the mercy of saintly personalities. So, thank you all so much, beautiful souls from all over the world. It is so nice to be in the presence of your beautiful, shining heart of hearts. And I look forward to seeing you next Saturday. There is a retreat happening in Georgia, North Georgia mountains, that you can look up. I'm not sure where, but I'm sure if you want to attend, you can also find out. So there's Connecticut, there's West Virginia, and then there's Georgia, and then there's in Eindhoven, there's in Belgium, there's in Bulgaria. We'll have a lot of fun. Namaste, everyone. Please
Thanks,
have a
Veda.
wonderful night and
Namaste.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Namaste.
Namaste.